Hey everybody, congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. They are in the NBA Finals for the third year in a row, and the team largely built by Mark Jackson just keeps rolling along. I have to put that out there because I am still one who contends that Mark Jackson was unfairly and ceremoniously ousted, but you know, nothing against Steve Kerr or the current crop. I'm just pointing out the way the change happened. Just want to remind everybody the team was still largely built on Mark Jackson's genius. Just want to get that out of the way. The Warriors have efficiently dispatched the San Antonio Spurs. But first of all, I apologize for not starting earlier as I said I would, but there's a big reason behind why I did not, as you can tell by the title. I got a very big scoop. And that changed my schedule and my week dramatically. The NFL owners meeting is essentially one day. Yeah, it says 22nd, 23rd, 24th, but it's really Tuesday, okay? And we have flash flood warnings here in Fayetteville. I didn't think it was safe to be driven to the airport in the morning rains and with all the health problems and everything else that I've kind of alluded to. So when Clark County Commissioner Chris Giunchigliani returned my phone call on the same day that I made it today, I was very happy. But when she agreed to go on the record, all right, and talk with me, that was like golden. And not only did she go on the record and talk with me, folks, she did so for just over 30 minutes, all right? And so it was a great talk where, because the conversation was 30 minutes long, I was able to raise some issues and dispel bad information that was put out there by the mainstream media, as we tend to do now, right? So let's go to the control room and check on the stream. The stream is good, excellent, and I'm going to go to the watch page where everybody is here, and I'm going to put on my mute so you don't have to hear my voice, and I'll see your comments. And yeah, Golden State Raider, you're right. Most of the cornerstone players were there before Mark Jackson. And hello, Mr. Vice Mayor Macy. Hello, Rick Rice. And hey, this is, well, hold on, folks. So what I'm going to do for you now, the video that I've compressed and edited is, get this, it's 2.2 gigabytes in size, which means it would take most of the night to upload. So I'm going to save that time. I'm going to upload it, but I want you to hear our conversation right now. Okay? You ready? My day was great. My day overall was great. Are you guys ready? And, perk up your ears. Hey, Bernard. Hey, Citron. Hey, Golden. John Davis, Crawford, Rick Rice, Steve Collins. All the great people. You guys are ready. Melvin Lovejoy is ready. Golden State, are you ready? Barry, are you ready? Crawford, are you ready? John Davis, are you ready? Rick Rice, are you ready? Are you all ready? Are you all ready? John Marks, are you ready? Are you all ready? Dan Dog is here. Dan Dog, are you ready? Alessandro is ready. We're all ready. All right. Here goes. What you're about to hear is my conversation today, this evening, with the main critic of the Oakland Raiders Las Vegas State NFL Stadium, Clark County Commissioner Chris Giunchigliani, right now. So hey, thanks a lot. Hey, I just want to get your thoughts on, because the media has only reported one side, if that, the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. But I want to get your thoughts on the progress toward a stadium since the vote occurred with the NFL, and the issue with UNLV, and also the matter of local businesses getting work, and anything else that is related to that from your point of view.
Okay. Well, they voted last Thursday to move the lease forward with the NFL because they claimed that they needed to have that done for next week because they have a meeting. There's still some issues to be worked out. The UNLV component, they did reference in the lease the community benefits portion that had been mentioned in Senate Bill 1. That's supposed to allow for local hire, local small businesses, women, minority, LGBTQ, etc. That still has to be flushed. It was only one paragraph, but it referred back to what had been in the legislation, so I'm sure there'll be some additional language on that. I was working still with the labor unions because they found that Senate Bill 1 called for a project labor agreement, so that still is in flux, but it's my understanding after meeting with some of the folks from the Raiders that they intend to do a project labor, or not the Raiders from the NFL, that they plan on doing a project labor agreement to make sure that they hire as many union workers as they can. So that's kind of the mix right now. What the details are for how often UNLV will have access and all of that was not contained that I found in the lease that was adopted. So there's still several areas that have to be worked out.
Are you satisfied that, and I ask this from the perspective for those who don't know of working with the Raiders in Oakland, but I'll rephrase this a different way. What's your impression of the Raiders' commitment to the community from what you've been able to see thus far?
It's early still. I'm hoping, my issue was always not who came here or whether we built one, but it's the public financing. And for $750 million in public financing, there needs to be not only hiring of small businesses and union workers for the construction phase, but also ongoing. So whoever works inside the stadium itself, whether it's in the concessions or otherwise, ought to be union wage paid people because they have health benefits and they're above the minimum wage. And so much of our industry is still service industry, so our folks don't make great wages. That's part one. Part two, I hope that the Raiders, other than doing some things with kids, really could step up and provide an after-school sports program. We lost our sports in our public schools 30 years ago. It was taken out of our middle school. And so our kids don't have access unless they're in a club or a league, and that's very expensive. So I'm, for example, on an after-school all-stars board, and where we Everfield Schwarzenegger Cities and Schools program. It's now called After-School All-Stars. We do literacy, and then we do sports and the arts and dance and performance. And so, I'm hoping that they will reach out and actually be a true community partner by providing funding, perhaps, for sports in our middle schools, or working with nonprofits that actually provide that kind of programming.
And what's your thought regarding, I believe it was Senator Patricia Fahey who had an amendment to SB 1 such that it would have ensured that at least 15% of the work went to small local businesses and women and minority businesses, but according to the Nevada Independent, the Raiders lobbyists struck that down in addition to others like, I think, Stephen Hill. What's your thought about that?
I long believed that we should have incentives to hire small women, minority, and LGBTQ businesses. And I was sorry to see Senator Farley's bill go down, because I think, but I wasn't privy to what the conversations or the concerns were. Maybe they were going to do it, but they didn't feel they wanted legislation. I don't know. I'm not privy to that part of it. But what's wrong with making sure that as you move forward, you're also embracing the community. The small mom and pops are what made America great, and wherever you can possibly find those to do business with makes good sense. So I just don't know what their objections were.
You have a sense that also you're on the Regional Transportation Committee for Southern Nevada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And earlier you expressed a concern that tracks back to the NDOT report that planned projects that were applicable to the stadium's impact in total would be 900 million. The Raiders would have to pay part of that, which is actually part of the SNTIA law. Are you satisfied that the Raiders can afford to do that? I mean, have there been discussion? I know, 200 million is only part of the total, but where are we with that from your perspective?
The devil's still on the details. We had a regional meeting last week. I asked the state director for NDOT, what roadways are you moving up to accommodate this stadium? Fine if you do, but you shouldn't be taking our local FRI money. That should be paid by the developer partners that are coming in to be able to pay for that. We already in Southern Nevada, lost roadway money several over the last couple of years, and the legislature properly put forth a ballot question, and it just got passed. And we have a long laundry list of needs that are here, and I don't want to see any business or any special use of our road dollars going to someone who should be responsible for the infrastructure costs. That wasn't on our roadmap, so to speak, as our top priorities. So I'm waiting to see what they're going to shuffle around, and I have not seen the list yet. But we did talk about it last week.
I'm glad you cleared that up because there were two publications, and I have to be candid. The mainstream media reporting on this has been horrible. And there's some publications I won't mention that are compromised by who owns them. But my point is that one publication reported as if, and this was repeated around social media, that it was already, as they like to say now, a term I hate, a done deal, that the money was going to be spent, the fuel money, if I'm not mistaken, was going to be spent for the new interchange, and that's not what you're saying. Is that's still not even decided?
But yes, we are having those conversations with NDOT. It goes through the board of examiner for board of transportation as well. We're arguing this overall on the whole FRI because the legislature mandated that the money had to be returned and spent in the county of origin. And they're not even taking our request for priorities.
Wow.
We're still having some arguments about that part of it.
Wow. Who's holding that up? Why are they not taking it? I mean, is somebody? I mean, what's going on there? Can you shed some light on who the culprit is?
I don't even know because it's been down to. Thank you very much for asking, but it's our money and we get to spend it where we want to. As long as we spend it in the county of origin, then we're complying with the law.
Wow.
So technically, they're complying with the law, but not with the spirit and the intent, in my opinion.
Wow. Are you shocked? What's your thought? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'll just say it, just straight out. I find it interesting to watch how the stadium authority seems to be rushing this through, and the board members don't seem to be giving it the proper scrutiny. I will say this, having met some of the laborers myself, I understand their concerns for work. That's paramount. But still, you don't want to rush into something without knowing what's going to happen. Am I wrong? Are you satisfied that they are doing their due diligence?
I don't know how that large a lease has been gone through in that short a time period because it was really just reintroduced and then they made some changes at the last meeting and adopted it. I sat in the audience along with a few of my colleagues. I know what I've read, but not many questions were asked or pondered by anybody about making sure that what does community benefits program mean? What does it mean to hire? How are you going to go about making sure that you're hiring union workers? And what are you going to do if you don't have that expertise in town? Because when we got hit with construction losses, a lot of the travelers left. And so there are some areas that they may not have the high-rise folks or, the big operators or whatnot. And I think the unions need to have time to know what's going to be needed so that they can get those talented people back in here.
Has anyone talked about the financing aspect of the stadium with you? Do you know that the Raiders are on track to get financing? I asked because in the in the situation with the Falcon Stadium, they had not just Bank of America, but Bank of America got together 7 other banks. But in this situation, I don't have no one's talking. Has anyone?
I do not know. I asked our bond folks to give me an update next week. So hopefully I'll know more after that about what the financing scheme is. But you're right. Right now, the only lender that we know of is Bank of America.
Yeah, and is Adelson completely out of it, or are people trying to get him back in behind the scenes now that the Raiders are, quote, in Las Vegas, unquote?
To my knowledge, he's out of it, and Nelton's been talking about how to bring him back in. He's got his own mind. He'll make his own decision on something along those lines. But I kind of think he's done with that.
Wow. But that's still, I mean, does that also hurt the Raiders' ability to get the casino community, to cooperate because of that outstanding bad relationship?
I don't know. I think in the long run, it was about the financial makeup, and he made a decision that it didn't pencil out, or whatever reason he made his decision. I'm assuming that's what it was. Mm-hmm. I think those, himself included, those gaming properties that were originally not supportive of it, decided to support it, and I think that they're still committed to making sure it works. Okay. It's no different than, I still disagree with how they funded it and got here, mm-hmm. But if they're coming, let's make sure we do the best job that we can for this community and for the working men and women and for the fans that are going to come here. Okay. It's still, to be seen what's going to happen with Oakland. I mean, that's just sad because that community really depended on that financing that was there.
Yeah, that's a great point. But I'm glad you clarified that, because outside of Las Vegas, there is particularly with respect to the story, there are the following ideas. First, that Mr. Adelson is behind the scenes somewhere pulling the strings negatively, A. B, that because he's not involved, none of the other casinos are going to be involved. And so you really help clear that up, right there as to, what the truth is. Is this a win for, when will you be satisfied that this is coming along properly? Because right now, there's a lot of outstanding issues, and it sounds like UNLV is at the top of them, but there's, when will you be satisfied that this is on the right track?
I'll be satisfied if the financing scheme actually comes in, that clarifying who Stadco is for the developing company, making sure that the language is worked out for the community benefits, and the project labor agreement will be very paramount. And then looking at the roadway issue, because we have congestion in this community. It's going to be, I know that there's going to be short parking, for example. And if that's the case, that may be acceptable for us in the short term, but it's got to be something that's worked out after they see how everything, is developed once the property is built. And there has to be a willingness to come back up and step up to the plate financially if that's what's needed, if something different happens on parking, for example.
That's interesting you mention that, because I listened to the Clark County planner, forgot her name, give a presentation. And
yeah,
thank you. And then I went and looked at the regs online, at least what I was able to find. And if I'm not mistaken, it not only calls for property adjacent to the land where the use is emanating from, where the traffic is emanating from the use, but it says that the land has to be built and owned by the same organization that owns the use. And in this case, that means the stadium authority has to actually find that property, unless I misread that. Or am I not mistaken?
I'm not sure. I don't have that document in front of me, and I'm not quite sure. Because stadium authority, nothing is given to them until after the development or after construction, and not for 30 years. So I would think it would be Stadco, which is the company that they're calling the development side of the construction, mm-hmm. that's going to be the ones that will be responsible for that part of it. And those will be the ones that will probably do the development agreement with the planning department and the county. And in that, you have to look at impact issues. You have to look not just at roadway, but noise, construction times, all those different factors have to be looked at.
Hey, can you shed some light on the education spending part of this? Because it normally, if I'm not mistaken, education is the beneficiary of the hotel tax, but in this instance, even with a waterfall, that won't be the case. Has anyone?
Yeah, the waterfall, right, the waterfall doesn't ever come to education, but Nevada's really weird or unique, I guess. Our school districts are not locally funded. They are funded by the state of Nevada. So what little bit of gaming tax actually goes to the general fund doesn't come necessarily back dollar for dollar to public education. They're actually having a debate right now for Carson City about the funding formula. So we're very unique. We can't raise by constitution villages like you can in most other jurisdictions. The only thing that you can raise locally is funding for building actual construction of schools, but not the operating, not teachers, not salaries, not class size, not books, none of that.
Jeez. So is it fair?
And that was part of my objection, because by letting them be a quasi-public entity, they are exempt from paying property tax. So that little bit of property tax would have gone to help benefit schools across the state, or at least been somewhat reallocated back to Clark County, and they're not going to have to pay that. And a zero, no lease payments either.
Wow. And yeah, and that's my other question is, well, first of all, it's fair to say that the Clark County education system is underfunded.
Over 40 million as far as funding.
Wow.
40 million.
That's
Wow.
that's shocking. That's awfully shocking. Is it fair that has anyone discussed the possibility, because UNLV has to pay rent, and yet the Raiders openly states in their lease no rent in black and white? Is that a back issue that people are still talking about?
I hope they are still talking about that. I don't think our public institution should have to pay rent to someone who's not even paying rent, let alone got a $750 million profit, from the taxpayers.
Wow, that's a tremendous situation to be in. Has the NFL came in and to meet with you all and show their face? Some of the people, the owners' meeting is tomorrow in Chicago. So
the president was in the building last week. I got to shake his hand and introduce myself to him. Mm-hmm. The gentleman from Cordell Group, who's really doing the development part of it, came in as well and spent some time. I appreciated meeting with him. He seems to know what he's doing, so at least they've got pretty good company there. But that's pretty. It was a three-second handshake, high type thing with them. I'm sure they'll be back. But I wouldn't say about any of us have a relationship with them.
Wow, fascinating. Given this effort, and then there's talk of Major League Baseball, and which I hope doesn't include the A's. Oakland comes to Las Vegas.
I think people need to see how we pan out as far as sports. We have our our 51s. I love baseball. We've never been able to put butts in seats for folks. I may be part of it because it's the Mets and not somebody else. I don't know. I'm a Cubs fan, so that's kind of bothered a little bit. But that said, I think everybody that says, "Oh yeah, now we're going to get this and this and that," I think the devil's still the details. We have to see how the NHL pans out. We've had hockey here in the past. I hope they hang in there. Once this is open and up and running with the Raiders, let's see how that works. But I think people need to be careful and cautious about, just because you wish for something doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do. Now, should maybe minor, what they call it, minor league soccer might make excellent sense with our Hispanic population and enthusiasm out there from kids, the type of leagues that we've got. Mm-hmm. That might be a perfect mix. I don't necessarily see baseball yet as something that would be coming in as quickly. I think soccer makes better sense if I were someone betting.
Hey, while I have you, what issues are you working on that you'd like people to know about?
Oh, well, I'm working on simple things. Roads. My district is the oldest area, so I have 40% of my roads are rated poor. I'm working on squatter issues. We're working on regional homelessness because we've got real problems with with thousands of people that are homeless in southern Nevada. We're one of the highest in the United States. Part of that's our weather. So working on things that really, I think, focus on everyday lives, and then trying to make sure that, business licensing is conducive and easy for people that want to start a business, that can get in and be taken care of easily and quickly, those types of things. We're working on community gardens in our schools and in the community here, so things that hit everyday folks.
Hey, Oakland, we have a large and growing homeless problem too. So I'm curious, has your problem started, or worsened over the past 5 to 6 years, or 3, or I'm trying to get a comparative.
Yeah, I'd say over the last 5 with the foreclosure issue, a lot of people went out, but also there were some things going on in our downtown core. When one gentleman bought up a whole bunch of the old apartments and motels and such, that is actually where a lot of folks live, mostly men, but it was affordable, $200 and $300 a month. Those got torn down, and nothing was made to be replaced, and so you destabilized most low-income or affordable housing for people. So we kind of created that individuals, created or added to those problems. Individuals, I should say. And then I think our weather does play a part. So people come here, they come on the bus, they go, I can go to Vegas, I can get a job. And it's just not there. I mean, our jobs are slowly coming back, but the uptick isn't there. Even our property values are nowhere near where they've been in the crash. So I think it just kind of added to it. We went down to San Antonio and looked at a project called, or a program called Haven for Hope. Mm-hmm. And they had a very great philanthropist who helped build their property. But it's there's some pieces where we're trying to bring our judges right on site, arraignment right on site, police drop off right on site, so they're not. So we're looking at it all the way from the court system to where they're housed. So we're trying to look at a whole comprehensive piece.
So hey, I kind of know, let me put it this way, I know Vegas from a CES perspective.
Okay.
But where's your district, and I've got a sense of Clark County, actually a pretty good sense, I'm being modest, but where's your district within that for listeners?
Yes, America's district, some great blocks there. Mm-hmm. That'll give you some perspective. But it's basically the east side. I go from Decatur all the way to Sunrock Mountain, and I go from our wetlands area over on the edge of Henderson over to North Las Vegas on the border of Lake Mead Avenue. So it's mostly east side. So it's this strip, most of the portion of the strip, other than what's in the city, and then convention authorities in my district, and we just go up the hill.
You got quite an area. It's quite an area. My gosh.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely, because it's 31st, and so with diversity brings opportunity, and that's a problem.
So, first of all, where do you see Las Vegas 5 years from now in terms of its population and complexity? And I ask this question because not just the stadium, but you've got, I think Wynn wants to build a $1.5 billion resort over there. I think it's in your area. Yeah, and then there's talk that now that Caesars have emerged from bankruptcy, they're talking about doing a lot of infill development around the Strip. So
there's infill development going on the Strip. You've got Resorts World is under construction. You've got Jackie Robinson was able to get his financing, so his project, All Nets project on the Strip, the north end next to SLS is moving forward. The re-expansion of the Convention Authority is moving forward. So you'll see a lot of that going on. I'm still hoping somebody buys Fontaine Blues so we could do something with that eyesore. That's all my district. And then, but infill also ought to be affordable housing for folks. Apartments, condos, townhouses, single family. And you have developers that still want to do urban sprawl instead of really looking at filling in where people actually have infrastructure that can hop on a bus, they can get to work, and you're not adding to our congestion and our air quality and all those other factors that are there. Right. I also see legislatively there's hopefully some good solar and legislation that's going to pass that could help generate either manufacturing jobs or more marketability within that area for energy as well.
Oh, by the way, how is the monorail project coming, the expansion? Is that still on track for construction?
I hope not, but yeah, if they're still talking about it, but I hate the monorail personally, but I would never do support it. But if they're having issues because they didn't do their due diligence to figure out where they really should have their landing posts. They don't own the land. They don't have access to the easement. They tried to plop it down on top of one of our largest water pipes, and we went, no way, you can't go there. So that's still being argued about. So do they want to expand to over the Mandalay area? Yeah, but then they got to figure out how to do it right.
Wow, wow. What was your objection to the monorail? I forgot you made an interesting comment.
It was antiquated when it was thought up 20 plus years ago, and it's antiquated now. No one but Disneyland has a monorail.
That's true.
So it was antiquated technology, but it also is such a large piece that it went into our right-of-ways and into the centers of many of our streets. I no longer, to get a light rail project or to get another lane put in or HOV lane is very difficult because those monstrous pillars are taking up the space.
That's right. Oh, right, that's right. Any chance of it maybe being replaced, or is it too far down the pipe, especially with the recommendations?
I think it's too far down the pipe. I mean, they've been in bankruptcy. They came out of bankruptcy, but you know, they need to figure out if this leg that they want to do can really be penciled out or not. They'd be foolish to go further. Mm-hmm. I would never support it going to the airport, for example. That's just ridiculous. So
yeah,
we could do light rail out of or urban light rail, if that's the case, out of the airport rather than the monorail.
Hey, minimum wage is on the ballot, is on for consideration of the legislature. You think it'll pass?
I think it won't be the fifth fight for 15 that we've been working on, but it'll be something. I wrote the original minimum wage legislation in Carson City. So I think there's an appetite to put it on the ballot. I just wish they would just do it, but okay, put it on the ballot. And make sure you build in an escalator so you don't get into where, you know, we were lobbied to take language out back in the 90s, which would have at least let it grow. And I think they recognize in the amendment that the feds do go to a higher amount than ours would automatically go to that, regardless of what it says in the constitutional side of it. So they're trying to put some protections in to make sure that you can actually grow that dollar amount.
So everybody's running for governor, it seems, but not. But you're set, right? You're not. Are you? Or are you running for governor? Where do you?
Right. I have no decision on anything, but I know I'm not running for anything in Washington D.C.
I love it. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, good questions, Benny. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Homework, so,
this has been. Thank you for the time, because the main problem, as I said, is that I say this to my viewers quite a bit, is that mainstream media is not capturing exactly what's going on there.
Yeah.
And you get this weird filter, and then the filter becomes echoed through social media, and it's just it's absolutely crazy. So this is a lifesaver.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Oh, absolutely. And tell them I know where you're on Twitter, but tell them where you're on Twitter.
Can I tell you truthfully? My husband set that up, and he had a young student that does it, and I don't even know what they put up.
Well, I'll say it's your last name. Is Giunchigliani, right?
Giunchigliani, yeah.
Hey, I got it right. Woo! That's not bad considering it is Xenophon Abraham.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Greek and Jewish. Go figure. Only in America.
Go figure.
So follow her at Giunchigliani. That's Italian, right?
Yeah, Giunchigliani. Yeah, in Chicago. Giunchigliani.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, are you Sicilian?
No, I'm not. I was born in Lucca, Tuscany.
Oh, okay. No, they used to joke that I was, even though I'm not Italian, but my friend used to say that I was black Italian. So it's like,
we have a few of those.
Wait, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. right, good to talk to you again.
Yeah,
Take
great
care.
to you too. And yeah, and I'll send you an email when this is up. That's it, folks. So that's the interview, and the next Connie Chung. Yeah, that's the interview, folks. And I want to thank Chris Giunchigliani for her time, and she really was able to. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was thank you. It was worth everything. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And the big news I got out of that was, first of all, she mentioned the financing. She'll have a better idea where it is right now, but no one knows what's going on with Bank of America. And not she doesn't, and a lot of people are in the dark. She did slip that there is a developer, Cortez, I believe she said, and she said she met with them, as well as she mentioned the president, talking about Mark Bedane. So the Raiders do have a developer partner that's involved, according to what Commissioner Giunchigliani said. So, thank you for the comments. Thank you, Brian, John, Barry, Rick Rice, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jamal. Thank you. Oh, Jamal, oh man, Jamal, you missed it. Oh man, but it'll be back. Okay, Jamal Mills, I interviewed earlier this evening Clark County Commissioner Chris and Oakland Raiders Las Vegas Stadium critic Chris Giunchigliani, who has blasted the Raiders in my interview for the Raiders in the NFL because the NFL is connected with the Raiders for not being good community partners, and that's really how we started. The UNLV issue is without. I mean, I can play parts of it for you. In fact, let me go back and see if there's something I can play for you. That might help you out without replaying the whole thing, right? But let me see what I can do here regarding maybe getting a bit or piece of it, right? Hold on a second.
That should be paid by the developer partners that are coming in to be able to pay for that.
See, listen.
We already in Southern Nevada, lost roadway money.
Okay, this is the part about the developer partner. Listen to this, okay?
The All Stars Board, and where we Edwardfield Schwarzenegger Cities and Schools program. It's now called After School All Stars. We do literacy, and then we do sports and the arts and dance and performance. And so, I'm hoping that they will reach out and actually be a true community partner by providing funding, perhaps, for sports in our middle schools.
She wants the Raiders to provide funding for sports and middle schools and start being a community partner. And that's,
or working with nonprofits that actually provide that kind of programming.
And what's your thought regarding, I believe it was Senator Patricia Fahey who had an amendment to SB 1 such that it would have. Oh, and this deals, which we're talking about here, concerns the issue of the fear that local, particularly women and minority businesses, small contractors, will not get work from the stadium project right here. Ensure that at least 15% of the work went to small local businesses and women and minority businesses, but according to the Nevada Independent, the Raiders lobbyists struck that down. In addition to others like, I think, Stephen Hill. What's your thought about that?
I long believed that we should have incentives to hire small women, minority, and LGBTQ businesses. And I was sorry to see Senator Farley's bill go down. Because I think, but I wasn't privy to what the conversations or the concerns were. Maybe they were going to do it, but they didn't feel they wanted legislation. I don't know. I'm not privy to that part of it. But what's wrong with making sure that as you move forward, you're also embracing the community? The small mom and pops are what made America great, and wherever you can possibly find those to do business with makes good sense. So I just don't know what their objections were.
You have a sense that also you're on the Regional Transportation Committee for Southern Nevada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And earlier you expressed a concern that tracks back to the NDOT report that planned projects that were applicable to the stadium's impact in total would be $900 million. The Raiders would have to pay part of that, which is actually part of the SNTIA law. Are you satisfied that the Raiders can afford to do that? I mean, have there been discussion? I know, 200 million is only
This is critical, folks. This is critical.
the total. But where are we with that from your perspective?
It's the devil's still on the details. We had a regional meeting last week. I asked the state director for NDOT, what roadways are you moving up to accommodate this, the stadium? Fine if you do, but you shouldn't be taking our local FRI money. That should be paid by the developer partners that are coming in to be able to pay for that. We already in southern Nevada, lost roadway money several over the last couple of years, and the legislature properly put forth a ballot question, and it just got passed. And we have a long laundry list of needs that are here, and I don't want to see any business or any special use of our road dollars going to someone who should be responsible for the infrastructure cost. That wasn't on our roadmap, so to speak, as our top priorities. So I'm waiting to see what they're going to shuffle around, and I have not seen the list yet. But we did talk about it last week.
I'm glad you cleared that up because there were two publications, and I have to be candid. The mainstream media reporting on this has been horrible. And there's some publications I won't mention that are compromised by who owns them. But my point is that one publication reported as if, and this was repeated around social media, that it was already, as they like to say now, a term I hate, unveil that the money was going to be spent, the fuel money, if I'm not mistaken, was going to be spent for the new interchange, and that's not what you're saying. Is that's still not even decided?
But yes, we are having those conversations with NDOT. It goes through the Board of Examiners for Board of Transportation as well. We're arguing just overall on the whole FRI because the legislature mandated that the money had to be returned and spent in the county of origin, and they're not even taking our request for priorities.
Wow.
We're still having some arguments about that part of it.
Wow. Who's
Okay, so folks, that's critical. What she's saying right now is basically no. The money has not been allocated anywhere. They're arguing over it. However, she fears that they, being the state, because of the way Nevada's set up, will basically overrule and override what the county's wishes are. Now, that's the situation. Jabber says, that's how people in Las Vegas are. They don't like to raise taxes for anything, but want everything built for free using casinos' money. Well, yeah, that's what's happening in this case, apparently. And it's a big problem, but Jabber, in this instance, they have this special fueling tax, right? And originally the fueling tax went to, if memory serves, over 200 projects. But now, according to Commissioner Giunchigliani, the debate is over how much of that money that normally would go to these different projects is going to be sucked up by the stadium. If that happens, there's going to be political hell to pay. I can't see, and I know that Steve Sisolak is running for governor, but if this goes down in that way, in other words, if the Regional Transportation Commission and other commissions for Southern Nevada and for Clark County are basically overridden by the state, and the lion's share of the money goes to the stadium, someone is going to pay politically. I can tell you that right off the bat, because there's already a feeling that this is being shoved down the collective throat of this talking about the stadium of Southern Nevada. So anyway, getting to your points here. Ricky, the Raiders aren't going to pay for anything else other than the construction, says Joseph Jones. They didn't pay for the stadium, and no one knows who did. Joseph, I think that is where the Raiders are going to have a problem, because, first of all, the law says essentially that they and the developer partners have to pay for off-site transportation infrastructure. So even if the Raiders, you might think, will kind of weasel out of something, the bottom line is, because of the way the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Improvement Act is written, I said Infrastructure Improvement Act, yeah, the Tourism and Improvements Act is written,
That's not going to happen. Henry Flores says, hey, Zinni, they had an article about betting, online betting during Raiders games. Yeah, that's controversial. What will the NFL do? And that's, I was going to go to Chicago and basically ask that very question tomorrow. But, it's a one-day meeting. It's basically in and out. And again, just because of the weather and other concerns, I thought, especially since this came about, doing this basically upended me. I would have been asleep by now. That was my original plan. But it didn't happen. And I got this great interview, right? So, but the bottom line to answer your question is that question's outstanding. But here's the bigger, to me, the bigger related question. And the bigger related question is, what do players from the NFL like Derek Carr say about a fan being able to buy a Raider ticket, right? Let alone a PSL or a club seat or a luxury suite, and then be able to bet on a game that he is playing in. Does he get a cut of that money? I think the bigger can of worms is between the NFL and the NFLPA. All right? So, and Jamal Mills says a lot of controversy with this move, more with the Rams and Chargers. It didn't seem like much easier. Why do you think that's the case? Why do I think there's a lot of controversy with the Vegas move? Oh my God, seriously? Well, where do we start? With gambling, the dramatically small market size, the feeling that Oakland was lied to. Those are three right there. Okay, those are the three top issues. Oh, and then of course there's that $750 million subsidy that just sticks as an outlier at a time when many stadiums are entirely, if not mostly, privately financed. So those four right there. Now, and so Rick Rice says, what the hell is a pirate doing in the desert? Mike R. Hey, Mike. Mike says that, and actually, Mike R., I disagree with you. That's completely wrong. Okay? Completely wrong. In fact, whatever. Jabber says the players' cut is their play. If they don't play well, they don't last. Hey, Jabber, I would bet the NFLPA would have an issue with that. That's like saying that the players don't have a right to some cut of TV money. In fact, what you did, if you were an owner, you'd have set the groundwork for a strike. Okay? Saying, oh, the players' cut is what we pay you. Well, what you pay me as a player, I'm speaking euphemistically, is also a percentage of what you get, all right? And I want some revenue sharing there. That's a big stickler. And this, you can bet, is going to be a huge issue. It really is. Because, and I'm saying not just because it's an extra revenue source. No. I'm saying because you are essentially gambling on the very player that you're saying cannot benefit from the activity of gambling on that player. And it's one thing that you would say, wait a minute, that's what fantasy sports does, right? Yes. But now we're taking it to a position where it's right in the stadium. And the player really has some control over the outcome. In other words, what we're talking about is what I thought the league was trying to avoid. See? So, that's a big issue. That's a giant issue. Steve Macy, did she mention they were $40 million off on something? Yes, Steve, on education funding. They're $40 million underfunded. Yeah, underfunded. And that's what she said. Miguel Ross says the Raiders, Pirates, okay, right. And the Raiders need to stay in Oakland, period, right. Now, Riley Young says, please sub. And Chris G, hey Ricky Bobby, Chris G is on the Regional Transportation Commission. She's very well respected, and she controls much of the center portion of what we call Las Vegas. So, and let's see here. We've got Barry Lee says, be nice to everyone. I agree. Yeah, be nice to everybody. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, be nice, folks. Be nice. Be nice. Jabba Esquilade. That's a cool last name. I like it. Henry Flores says, Zenny, Chris said that she believes Sheldon Adelson is nagging against the Raiders. Actually, she didn't say that. I said that. No, Phil Henry, she didn't say that. What we were talking about was, let me find that part again. Hold on a second.
Who's holding that up? Why are they not taking?
About making sure that you're hiring union workers. He made his decision.
This is the Sheldon Adelson part, okay?
In the situation
Right
with
here.
the Falcon Stadium, they had not just Bank of America, but Bank of America got together 7 other banks. But in this situation, I don't have a, no one's talking. Has anyone?
I do not know. I asked our bond folks to give us enough to get me an update next week. So hopefully I'll know more after that about what the financing scheme is. But you're right. Right now, the only lender that we know of is Bank of America.
Yeah, and is Adelson completely out of it, or are people trying to get him back in behind the scenes now that the Raiders are, quote, in Las Vegas, unquote?
This is the Adelson part, Henry. Listen up. This will answer your question, okay? Listen carefully.
To my knowledge, he's out of it, and no one's been talking about how to bring him back in. He's got his own mind. He'll make his own decision on something along those lines. But I kind of think he's done with them.
Wow. But that's still, I mean, does that also hurt the Raiders' ability to get the casino community, to cooperate because of that outstanding bad relationship?
I don't know. I think in the long run, it was about the financial makeup, and he made a decision that it didn't pencil out, or whatever reason he made his decision. I'm assuming that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think those himself included, those gaming properties that were originally not supportive of it, decided to support it, and I think that they're still committed to making sure it works.
Okay.
It's no different than, I still disagree with how they funded it and got here,
Mm-hmm.
but if they're coming, let's make sure we do the best job that we can for this community and for the working men and women and for the fans that are going to come here.
Okay.
It's still, to be seen what's going to happen with Oakland. I mean, that's just sad because that community really depended on that financing that was there.
Yeah, that's a great point. But I'm glad you clarified that, because outside of Las Vegas, there is particularly with respect to this story, the following.
Chris expects an Oakland lawsuit. That's what she was talking about there, okay?
It's first that Mr. Adelson is behind the scenes somewhere pulling the strings negatively, A. B, that because he's not involved, none of the other casinos are going to be involved. And so you really help clear that up, right there as to, what the truth is. Is this a win for, when will you be satisfied that this is coming along properly? Because right now, there's a lot of outstanding issues, and it sounds like UNLV is at the top of them, but there's, when will you be satisfied that this is on the right track?
I'll be satisfied to the financing scheme actually comes in at clarifying who Stadco is for the developing company, making sure that the language is worked out for the community benefits, and the project labor agreement will be very paramount. And then looking at the roadway issue, because we have congestion in this community, it's going to be, I know that there's going to be short parking, for example. And if that's the case, that may be acceptable for us in the short term, but it's got to be something that's worked out after they see how everything, is developed once the property is built. And
now, see, that's a critical point. She says that she's willing to deal with a short term, whatever that means, period, where parking is a problem, as long as a long-term solution is gotten to. But that points right there that parking isn't quite the impediment that at least I thought it was going to be, because my thought was that they were going to basically try to take that issue and ram it forward and say, okay, you got to deal with this too, right? But that's not the case, at least not with
Commissioner Giunchigliani. All right. So yeah. Now, John Marks is funny. Let's see here. John Marks is right. Oakland needs to sue big time. And look, anybody can file an injunction. All right. You can file one person injunction. Doesn't mean it'll go through. But you know, there are online templates such that can be done if you want to do that. You know. Now, Go Warriors says. Barry Lee says she should expect a lawsuit and to lose in court also. Yes. Now, Go Warriors says, because I live in Denver, I cannot say any of that Elway stuff. Oh boy, this is hilarious. Ricky Bobby is actually wrong. I'll just say you're wrong, Ricky. There's one thing to have a plan to sue and quite another to execute the plan. Keep that in mind. So, you're wrong. Henry Flores says, this Las Vegas deal looks more like a broken windshield. The more you try to mess with it, the more it cracks and eventually breaks. Yeah, that's exactly right. But here's the thing, okay? And I want people to realize where we are. This is officially now becoming a development project. I'm not saying it's there, but it's becoming a development project. And what that means is that there are two primary factors at work. There are the timetables to get the documents done, which includes the UNLV issue, among other things, right? Includes the UNLV issue and the labor issue, okay? And then there's the financing. If, for whatever reason, Bank of America cannot get financing from the other banks for that loan, this project is scuttled. And don't think that can't happen. Las Vegas has a 70-story example called the Fontainebleau where that exactly happened. So, you know, don't count your chickens. And something else I want to throw out there to you. And it may seem like it's not connected, but it may very well be. The entire issue with President Trump and the administration, if that should go south into impeachment, what I wonder is the extent to which that has a destabilizing effect on our economy and drives us to inflation and makes this project less doable. I mean, and I say that because, you know, I collect cryptocurrency and I watch changes in my cryptocurrency markets with respect to what's happening. And the worse the situation gets for Trump, the better my currency goes up. It's like gold, right? So I'm just saying, it's a good idea to pay attention to that. Now, so biotech needs to Rick Rice, yeah. Let's see here. So B of A, so Steve Brevis, how are you? So B of A has other banks involved with the loan amounts? No. They're trying to get those. You're reading my mind with Trump and his potential political drama. Yes. No, but Steve, I'm not saying that they do. No one knows that they do. Okay. As Commissioner Giunchigliani said, she doesn't know who is with Bank of America, but in the case of the Atlanta Falcons' new stadium, the Bank of America team, the same one that's working on the Vegas project, got 7 other banks for an $850 million traditional loan for that stadium project. So there's your comparable, all right? Now, let's see here. Ricky Bobby says, Fontainebleau and the Raiders aren't in the same ballpark. You don't know that. Let's see. San Diego Super Chickens. LA Rechargeables. Yes, Rick. Dumb typos. What did I miss here? Let's see here. If a Spurs fan can sue Zaza, Raider Nation could have a case. Doing this now 2 times, says Brian Guidry. And let's see here. And so, anybody have any other thoughts or questions regarding the interview? I'm very happy about that. Any other points of information you want me to go back over and play again that maybe you didn't catch? You know, Brian Guidry. Brian says, That's what Go Warriors says there. And missed that one. So, missed that one. For some reason, your guys' stuff isn't coming through all of a sudden. I don't know. I saw some things, but it's not coming through. John Marks is talking about the San Diego Super Chickens. Missed that one. Now, this is Todd Christensen. And Todd, how come I don't see now? Okay, Steely Bruce, your notes were coming in late. Steely Blue says, Al, this is interesting. Steely Blue says that Al never considered going to Vegas. That is a lie. He wanted to get a stadium done by the Bay Area, and Amy Trask confirmed that a deal could have gotten done in Oakland when she was with the team. Yeah, it could have. She could have. Amy is a master. She'd have gotten the deal done. Period. Nothing against the current regime, but Amy's skilled there. John Giorgio, boy, the Vegas deal is a Ponzi scheme. Rick Rice says, I watched your video and went to your channel. Didn't see your picture of you and the Raiders. I don't know what you're talking about there, Rick Rice. Ricky Bobby says, SoftBank will be soon in the Coliseum site and imploded. Brian Guidry says, at Steely, her proposed stadium was too small for the NFL to host the Super Bowl. True, Brian. John Marks says, I don't know about that, Ricky, and I agree with you, John Marks. Ricky Bobby says, help the fans, Susan, give them direction. Ty Christensen says, Zenny, since you're a Bay Area lefty from way back, I have an idea. I'm glad you called me a lefty and not a progressive. There is a difference. I'll tell you the difference between a leftist, a liberal, and a progressive. A liberal likes to tax, but likes the tax is used to spend money to create jobs. Progressives like to tax and regulate, and that's it. There's a difference. Now, what were you saying? Okay. Get a hold of the Sierra Club and see if they would like to gather a few lawyers and sue back on environmental reasons. Miguel Rose says, Ricky Bobby, stop making stuff up. Jabber says, did you see the post? I tweet Campari for DCJ West. Missed that one. Joseph Jones asked, why doesn't the city of Oakland build a stadium that Davis wants? I agree. They should. Period. Just get it done. Because we can get it started and done. And we need stadiums. And we need a refurbished arena. And we need more convention and hotel space. It's like we're seceding the tourism aspect of the economy to San Francisco and saying, forget it, even though we've got a great airport. Makes no sense whatsoever to me. Now, Ricky Bobby has a warning from Go Warriors. Steve Collins has the city of Oakland given up. It would seem on the surface, but don't count Oakland out just yet, okay? There are a lot of people being quiet about this. Raider Kuko says, hi Zenny, we should all boycott B of A. Steve Grievous says, is there something we can do? Do we need multiple lawsuits by individual fans or groups or fans to bring against the Raiders and NFL? Is it better to let Mayor go it alone for now? No, roll your own. Don't wait for somebody else. That's the problem now. You got this person waiting on that person waiting on this person. Do your own, okay? And Ricky Bobby says, right, Gary, 40,000 fans for a stadium is far too small. Any chance we can retain the team until at least 2020? There's a chance. And how did Ricky Bobby end up in here? Dudes everywhere, I swear. Peter G. Oh, John Marks says, boycotting Make America, and Crawford says, where's strike 3? So, boy, I guess this Ricky Bobby guy is all over the place, right? Well, wow. Oh, well. Interesting. Henry Flores says, Zing, if this Las Vegas deal is done, how many Raider fans do you estimate do the trek to Las Vegas? Maybe 20% of the total, 20%. And I'll tell you why. It's not just the move itself. What folks do not know do not see is the extent to which the fans are going to be priced out of the new stadium. That's the enormous problem, okay? So, that's the big problem. I mean, theoretically, with a $750 million subsidy, the seat cost should be less, right?
But I'm not. But when brokers get a hold of the tickets, I don't think it's going to turn out to be that. So, we'll see. Well, the first 3 years, the PSL, the new PSL system, will create a barrier to entry that's extremely high. Plus the travel cost, plus the hotel. You get the idea. These are costs that Raider fans as a whole haven't had to endure. Now, waiting for the Las Vegas population to get bigger, I don't know. Someone wrote a piece that was ridiculous, basically saying that, the Raiders would have all of Las Vegas to themselves and no competition. The Bay Area is so big that their people have season tickets to both the Raiders and Niners. So it's nuts. I've heard some of the nuttiest stuff. So anyway, don't get me started. LV9933, how are you? And Jamal Mills says, hey, what Mayor Schaap is saying recently. Nothing about this. And LV says, what's the point of the city being quiet right now? The Raiders are already approved to Vegas. I'm saying quiet to the public, but behind the scenes there's a lot going on. Go Warriors says, hey Rick Rice, I'm very sorry about the questions. I signed out to see my new channel search. Hey folks, I'm gonna quit at 1:30 mainly because tomorrow depending on the weather, I may catch that flight. I'm mulling it over, but I'm playing it by ear. But I'm gonna cut at 1:30 just to get some rest. But one way or another, we'll talk tomorrow. So, DeGrevious idea. I believe as fans we should lend support to the reserved Las Vegas tickets. Then we can electively say no when they are ready to ask for balance payments. The timing should be an issue. Interesting for Steve. Raider Kuko says we need to put pressure on the mayor to do more about the Raiders now that she is announced re-election. Again, if you want her to do that, Mayor of Oakland is... Good night, Barry. 510-238-3141. And on Twitter, at Libby Shad. Yeah. There you go. And will I be at the owners' meeting? I'm credentialed to go, but I'm on the fence right now because, first of all, we have a flash flood warning here. It's a one-day meeting. Were there decisions that are going to be made? Maybe. But it's not the common spring league meeting where someone, Super Bowl bid is being decided. Commonly, NFL owners' meetings are where Super Bowl bids are decided. The last meeting we had that was kind of like this one was 2015 when it was in San Francisco at the Ritz-Carlton, and the hot item on the agenda was aside from the discussion of the Raiders, issue, right? But the hot item on the agenda was the new PAT rule, among other things. It was, with the exception of the Raiders issue, it was quiet. But the Raiders issue, which was still outstanding at the time, brought out the Raider Nation, because it was, in the Bay Area and Oakland was right across the bay. So there you go. They are to vote on the lease, but my spider sense tells me this issue regarding gambling might be a tickler. I doubt it, but we'll see. I think it's controversial. I think it's very controversial, and that's why I'm kind of mulling over, doing that. But see, here's the problem. If I get on that plane, there's so many flights that are canceled because of the weather here. I may have a hard time getting out of here, let alone coming back, because the weather's been so wacky here. That's why, and frankly speaking, I'm down here with my mom, and I don't want to put her through all that stuff. So I'm just being candid with you. That's what's going through my mind, all right? And because I consistently remind myself of the reason I'm here, and I go from there, all right? So how that sounds to some of you, hey, look, whatever, that's life. Your family comes first, always. So there you go. Always. Cool. All right. All right, it's 1:29. Good night, everybody. Steve, thank you all. Thanks, everyone. Thanks all. Okay. And let's see, what did I miss here? Yes, and subscribe. Thank you all. Thank you all. Is the Charger Stadium delayed to 2021 or 20? Hey, Jabber, it's 2021. Sorry if I missed your question there. I got that one. Yeah, Donna, safety first. Safety first. All right, night, everybody. Night. Good night. Good night. Say good night, Ricky Bobby. Good night. Good night, Rick Rice. Good night, Jacob. Thank you. Good night. You can bet your last money the Warriors winning is a stone gas honey. How you like that, Crawford 371? You legend, Rick Rice. But thank you, Jabber. Go forward. Say good night, Ricky Bobby. Say good night, Ricky Bobby. Good night. Good night. Good night. Hear me? Good night, Bernard. Good night. Good night. Hey, I ought to block. You know what? I ought to ban Ricky Bobby for not saying good night. Good night, Raider Kirgo. Good night, Miguel. All right, good night. See you, Crawford. Good night, Ricky Bobby. See, Ricky Bobby is in true night. All right, Ricky Bobby is not being a community player. So you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do it. No, not at all. But hey, thanks for a great show, everybody, and good night. It's 1:39. Love you all too. Love you guys too. See ya. All right. Thank you all. Thank you. I'll see you guys. Okay. Good night. See ya. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now I'll give him a reprieve. Forget it. No, don't worry about it. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, everybody. See ya.